The following Earth Angel media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Well, welcome everybody. This is Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips, and you're listening to Soul Decodes. Today is July 3rd,
Yes.
2025, which means we're on the
Independence Eve.
Independence Eve. So, this is episode 46 already. Wow, it's almost a year's worth of episodes. Yeah. For those of you listening the first time, my co-hostess is Sarah Tirri.
Hello, everyone.
What's
great
going on,
to be
Sarah
here.
Tirri?
Well, I have a gift for you.
A gift. I
Yes.
love gifts. I have a gift for you. But
Do you?
Robin said, don't give it on the air this time.
Oh, well, I'm going to.
Okay, do it. You do you, boo. That's what you tell me.
See it rattling?
Sounds good. It sounds like candy. What is it, candy?
No. What do you think it is?
Oh, these look like, they're seeds. What? Oh, they're pits from, these are some sort of a bean. It's like
No. No, so
What is this?
It's a jackfruit tree.
Oh, God bless you. I'm going to grow these and I'm going to love them like they're my children.
So I got gifted a jackfruit last week, and
my
it was
goodness.
Tony's co-worker and it was the size of a freaking watermelon, this thing. And for anyone who doesn't know, I've only been recently acquainted with it. It's spiky on the outside. And then I cut it open, and those seeds, they're more like a quail's egg, I would say, in size, rather than like a little seed. And I got 78 out of one fruit. 78 seeds.
How did you like the fruit itself?
I didn't like it because I had this PTSD with some fruit I had in Asia once, and I could just taste this flesh, and I'm like, I couldn't. But it wasn't really fleshy. I mean, to produce 78 seeds that size in the thing that was like a small watermelon. And then when I left this morning, I don't know if this is Chinese whispers, but Tony said they sell online for $15 each.
Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you.
I mean, it's like, I think we've got to start a business.
Well,
78, and that would be $25 to buy at Publix. I mean, that's like a little gold mine.
Oh, it is. There's so much gold in raising things yourself. Just what we have on this farm. But
it's yielding just this massive product. And then I went onto YouTube and I saw this guy eat the nuts. And apparently, and I haven't delved into this, but there's a massive load of things are good for you in this jackfruit.
Sure.
So,
and a lot of people. I speak to a lot of people about changing their lifestyle and updating their diets and just being a little more intentional about what they eat. So we have this thing, like I think I told you about my tuna fish, and people love my tuna fish except for there's no tuna in it. We replaced the tuna. We used a normal recipe, but we swap out instead of tuna, we use smashed up garbanzo beans.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's also this pulled pork sandwich. It's the best pulled pork sandwich you've ever had, except there's no pork in it.
And what's the substitute?
Jackfruit.
The actual fruit?
Yes.
Yes, because it was actually kind of stringy.
Yeah,
so you could actually reshape that if you could, yeah.
But
and then you could add some spices to it.
Well, that's the whole point is the substance.
I didn't like the taste of it. It was a little odd, but I love papaya and I love mango. But it really wasn't about the fruit. It was about these seeds. I mean, that was the predominant yield from this.
It's amazing once you start growing things. Like we have moringa out front. And most people are like, oh, moringa's a weed tree. Well, across the world, they don't consider it a weed tree. They call it the miracle tree. The miracle tree. People used to give gifts when a couple got married. They would be gifted their own moringa tree because it's got, like, every part of it's useful. Most of it's edible.
Right.
And it's got more vitamin A, C. I mean, it's
Is it a
got
fruit
protein.
tree?
You eat the leaves.
You eat the leaves.
Yeah, you can eat the blossoms too, but the bees love the blossoms. My point is, you can literally break a branch off, stick it in the ground, and it'll grow a new tree.
Oh, that's fucking fantastic.
It's really
That's
cool,
really
yeah.
good. Yeah, that's absolutely a lot of respect
And
for
some
a
people
tree
do.
that can do
Some
that.
people do microgreens.
You can brew it as a tea.
Oh, I just bought. I gotta have you try it on your
Or
skin.
you could have it as spinach. I mean, you could cook the leaf.
I'm gonna have you try it on your way out. I'm gonna give you some oil I just bought. It's cold pressed moringa seed oil. Wow. It's so smooth on your skin. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna have you try it.
Oh, I'd love to.
So, well, thank you for the gift. I love it. It's so beautiful. I want to recognize some people. I think you're from London, so you've heard of Andover.
Yes, Andover.
Okay,
yes,
well,
that's down near Southampton.
Hey, Andover. Welcome
Hello,
to Soul
Andover.
Decodes. There are some of our new listeners.
Heading into the West Country. You're coming from the south to the west.
I had to look it up because I've heard of Andover, but I never knew where it was. So it's kind of fun to look at the new map and see who's popping up.
Yeah, we got to get a map up
I'm
here.
not doing a map.
No, I've said it before. I'm going to have to do it.
You keep putting tests
Well,
I
now
have a good idea.
you've got to grow
No.
jackfruit farm.
But I don't mind that. I've been wanting to do that.
No, but we should seriously start planting these. Now, I got 78. You've got 11. I'm going to put them in little things.
You've got how many acres?
70. No, this is the jackfruit. I'm
I
back
thought
to
you
the
said
jackfruit.
70 acres. I'm
No,
like, what?
78 of the jackfruit.
wow, okay.
And I'm going to plant them and see what I yield. And I've looked online. And then if you want to sell them online, and I have to check now. Rosie might be. What are they selling for each online?
Let's do this. Let's make an agreement. We can do this if you want to do that. That's fine. But the high value crops right now are actually mushrooms.
Really?
Edible mushrooms. Like, you could take a look. Go do a search for lion's mane mushrooms.
So what does that come at? It doesn't come from a seed, a mushroom.
A mushroom's fungus. It grows on the ground.
So it's a piece of. I know what a mushroom is, but what does it come from? Where do you buy the ones that you're going to propagate?
Well, they can grow they grow in central China, I guess. But if to grow here locally, you have to have certain conditions. But most fungus grows on decaying matter from plants. So most
Good on a compost heap.
Yeah, for sure. But different mushrooms require different conditions. Some grow higher up in altitude with drier conditions. Others grow really well, like in the tropical rainforest, like the moist conditions. But ultimately, the mycelium, which is underneath the ground, is like this communications highway. It's like the internet.
I saw when I was in England last year, it was in August, I just watched this movie about that, and it was just all these AI visuals pulling together what this interconnectedness is that you're speaking of. And it was like doing a mushroom trip myself. The visuals were amazing, but it was so interesting what this is built. I mean, mushroom and what it's pronounced that again? The mycelium. Mycelium. Yeah.
So,
and it's like I was very impressed by a mushroom.
The more people study mycelium and the value of mycelium, I'm just predicting that we're going to have automobiles, construction materials made from mycelium.
How do we start growing ours?
Well,
we just got to grow mold.
Let's talk about that on the air or off the air, because mycelium is the very big deal. In fact, I took some information about mycelium and sent it to 2 different people this week because I want to get ahead of this mycelium trend. When you understand the value of mycelium and what it does and the different things that the value of it in every part of your life, like right now we use petroleum products to produce different plastics. There's almost nothing that plastics can do that mycelium can't do.
Yeah,
but it's
just
eco-friendly.
Yeah, it's eco-friendly. Well, it is nature, isn't it?
So we'll go there. So I wanted to welcome Andover.
It's Andover.
Andover. And then
do you grow mushrooms in Andover?
And then Old Colorado Springs. There was a little dot from Old Colorado. Have you ever been to Colorado Springs?
I've been to Colorado, but there's a preacher that I watch from Colorado Springs, and so I've seen the visuals of it, and it's beautiful. I love the Rockies.
Well, I went to school in Colorado Springs. I went to the Air Force Academy. And during our limited weekends, like we usually have a day pass or a weekend pass where we could leave the campus. We used to enjoy going to what then used to be enjoyable. It's like 30 years ago, but Old Colorado Springs. Did I say 30? Let's see. Gosh, 40 years ago.
40. And what was there?
Well, it's really
A lot
cool.
of
It's just-
hiking.
well, mostly not military people.
Right, okay. So you could socialise and...
Yeah, just an old setting. It was
Yeah,
really pretty cool.
yeah. Oh, Colorado's beautiful.
Now there's a new town from the Netherlands where you have to welcome. I don't know how to speak.
No.
It's just, but
How do you spell it?
It's Eygel. So I'm thinking it's Eagle.
Eygel.
Eagle.
Yeah, Eagle.
Chauvin.
Eagle Chauvin.
Chauvin.
Eagle Chauvin.
Eagle Chauvin.
That's nice.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I hope I
that's
didn't
easy.
butcher your name, but welcome. And just a couple more. Rialto, California, which is near LA. And then finally, I want to make this a segue because I hope we can spend a little bit talking about
Is this Detroit,
this
Michigan?
weekend. No, it's Derby. Derby.
In England?
No, it's Derby. It's right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
And given that we're on, it's the 4th of July weekend, we need to talk about Philadelphia.
Let's do it.
We just want to
Hello,
talk
Derby.
we want to say hello to Derby. So anyway, so that's it. I like to say hi to these people that are listening to us.
It's
'cause
great. It's very cosmopolitan.
It's evident that they're sharing
That's
our
lovely.
stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you. So what do you want to talk about today?
I would like to talk about a conversation I had with my niece.
Okay.
So she arrived last night and we were chatting away. Now, she goes to raves. Now, what a rave is, it's where a load of people get together. Now, she's 21. They get together and they listen to music and they hang out. And a lot of the raves are banned in England because you need a public space for the rave. Otherwise, all you've got is to go to a restaurant, go to a nightclub, or go to someone's house. So these kids should be allowed to intermingle on land owned by the aristocracy and the royal family, because Genia's 21, so she grew up with a lot of cyber relationships, and that's not enough. You've got to intermingle with people, and you should be allowed to have a public space to do it. Now, she lives in Brighton, and there's a big coastline there of pebbles. So for me, you should be allowed to have a fire, and you should be allowed to gather. You're on the ocean, for fuck's sake. It's not a big deal. And then you've got all these greedy people just saying, no, now you can walk on the land, there are bridle paths, but you're saying no to a load of people that want to be together and they want to be out in nature doing it, and the Sussex Downs is beautiful, or on the beach, but you're forcing them to spend money and then just saying no to them. And who the fuck are you to say no to these people that need a space to get together?
That's such an American position. That's such a freedom lover's position, what you just said.
Yeah, and if I was mayor, I like to do that thought experiment. I would open it up, and you can't just hoard that. Who says that belongs to you?
So you
because you said it.
If you're the mayor.
Yes, if I was the mayor, I would say that you can get together on Brighton Beach on Saturday night at 7:00. You can have a fire and there'll be parameters, and then, you can gather here. You can't drive, you'd have to walk, or you'd have to take public transport. That would be the two parameters. There's no parking and there's no one's driving, because if you're going to have a drink. And allow them to be on the beach, beautiful coastline, seeing all the way around, all the sparkly lights. And why shouldn't they be there on a Saturday night?
We should do like a podcast where it's a pop-up rave.
We should do one here.
We'll just do it right here. We'll announce it. We'll just do a pop-up rave in Phillips Island, right?
But they shouldn't have to pop up. Now, they need to be together. And why force them to spend money to do that? There's beautiful places in England that you can hang out. And stop being such curmudgeons about that. Let them get together. They need to.
So you're going to... Okay, this is going to freak you out a little bit.
Well, I hope so.
But
I'm up for it.
Robin went off. She had to do some things today. So before she left, we were talking. She said, well, what are you going to talk about today? I said, well, whatever pops up, whatever. I said, but it's the holiday. It's the 4th of July. So it's always an interesting conversation because, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool American, full-blooded, come from nothing and earn everything American. And then you have experiences. Well, but you're still an American. But you're an American. But you have a very different perspective because you come from Britain, which is very different.
Sure.
So I think it's always a good conversation to talk about these things. But you just talked about this thought experiment, or this thought, just talking through this situation where if I were the mayor, I would do this.
Yes,
right?
I love that.
So this thought experiment, I told Robin, I said, I'd like to bring up a subject, kind of a thought experiment. I used that same term with Robin. I said, I'd really like to have this discussion.
Yes, it's abstract and it's conceptual.
Right. And here's what I told her. I said, I'd like to say, because we're different. We're Americans, but we're different types of Americans, right? I'd like to say, if we were unaware of our history, completely unaware, like wipe it clean from our minds, and we were tasked with setting up a new country, a new government, a new country, what would it look like? What would it feel like? Who has the authority in the country? Because that's the number one thing. Who has the authority in the new country? Right? And this is the reason it's a thought experiment is because I really truly believe that tomorrow is the beginning of the new America, where we're restoring the 1776 America.
Yeah.
I think we're in a restoration process. And that's just my belief. I have a lot of reasons for believing it, but I don't want to go deep into the what if and what about and this stuff because I don't care so much about the world around us.
No. Well, it's not. It's all just a chimera.
Robin's position was, well, what does that have to do with soul decodes? And I'm like, okay, well.
Oh, you can trace it back to this.
Let's talk about our soul's journey because if there's 7 billion of us in the world today and we voluntarily came here to populate this earth space, we sure as heck should have probably thought about what happens when we have conflict between us. What happens when there's people that all the people at the same time want to have a fire on the beach? I mean, how do you manage that?
I think how you manage it, what is being required. So you have to, if so, supposing you and I, where there's you and I and there's 4 other people, you have to come forward with an idea of and so you have to know what the problem is. You're solving the problem. We need a public space so children can, not children, they're in their early 20s, but they've grown up having too much cyber time, and they need a gathering spot. So then you're all in agreement. Are the children I call them children, young adults entitled to this or not? So you have to establish that. If they are, you just establish logical rules, and that has to be transportation, it has to be parking, there has to be, fire provision. But solving what are you trying to create? A beautiful atmosphere where everyone can get the best of everything all the time. And as long as you're all in agreement about what that is, then just people are just going to just ask questions and just how do you get it into place? How do you structure this? How do you create the system? And that's creative. Yeah,
and this is really super important. And again, this does have to do with your soul's journey. If there's a governance of any kind, whether it's a country, a county, a municipality, a nation, a monarchy, or even just like you said, the mayor of the city.
Well, so
where does that authority come from?
Well, so this is interesting. So I was always a C student, but I realised I had ADHD, and I got a couple of report cards, but they were never very good. I got an occasional B. I did get 1 A once, but I left school at 15. I was very young, and I didn't give a shit about school. I hated it. And I got a report card, and it was back in that it was snail mail. It was sent to the house. My mum was in the kitchen. She was cooking dinner, and she undid it. And then I was just kind of peeking, and then she just started to laugh, and she came and got me, and she danced around the kitchen. And she said, I want to read what your report card said. And I was very young. I was about 10, and it said, Sarah's leadership qualities are already evident. And my mum was just like really ecstatic about that.
But you are a leader. That's so cool.
But it's innate in you then. So that it's something, so the leader will have confidence in themselves, I would guess. They have a natural tendency to want to do that. So leading isn't something that you either have it or you don't, if that was evident to my teacher at age 10.
I always am fascinated with why you and I resonate so well. And I think that leadership aspect of you is one of the things that I really like a lot, because I always appreciate when somebody stands for something or they move towards something that they value. And there's so many people will just talk. Somebody needs to do this about this.
Yeah.
Or, it's well, get up and do something about it. Just go up and do something.
Create.
But I do it all the time, and it can be something as simple as, because you won't believe it, like 4th of July is coming up. Well, let me just go this way. There's the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup back-to-back, okay? So they had this massive party on the beach, right? There's this big celebration for the Stanley Cup champions, 2nd year in a row. so there's this huge number of people on, like, literally, I think it was like, I forget the number, 400,000 or 600,000 people on the beach. There were no fights. There was no skirmishes. There was nobody was injured. Mm-hmm. There was actually an individual that was walking around, and a friend of mine saw this, picking up litter. An individual, not the city. It wasn't some person that was incarcerated with a yellow vest on and had to pick up trash. It was an individual picking up trash, and people were thanking him.
It's so freaking weird. Hold that thought.
Okay,
so when I was talking to Zhenya, she lives down the road from a quarry, and so they have a lot of people come to rave in the quarry, and she was talking about why they have said no is because people are dropping trash. And then I said to her, well, you're going to have people do that, the people that should pick up after themselves. Otherwise, you should go around and pick up the trash.
It's funny.
And that just happened this morning, that conversation. So he's doing it for that reason. He wants to keep this so pristine.
Well, and so last week, what was it, Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday morning. A friend of mine, he's a chiropractor. He's having an open house, and it's just like a week, 2.5 weeks away. He's done no planning for it. And I said, well, and he called me. He says, I need your help. Because he's like, you're a marketing person. You're organized. I don't even know what I'm doing.
And practical.
So I said, well, let's meet. So we met at the park, right? And it was Lake David right up the street.
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
pretty.
beautiful.
It was quiet.
It was
just beautiful.
I'd love to live around there.
And we're talking. We finished our work. We came up, and I literally held my phone up and said, Rosie, I'm sitting with my friend, and I won't say his name, but here's the situation. Here's this parameters. I'm going to be back in my studio in 90 minutes. I want you to have a PDF ready for me that does this.
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I looked at him. I said, what else? and he's like, what? And he's like,
so fucking impressive.
And he says, what is that? How do I get it?
Yeah.
Because Rosie, because she said back to me, she says, okay, Tia Jolie, I'll have this for this person, and it'll have this, and this. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
unbelievable.
I'm done for now, thank you.
Yeah.
And
you can just maximize efficiency of your time with that and solve the problem.
But he's looking at me like, who are you?
No, it's so impressive.
Yeah. So we get up, we did our stuff. We talked about other stuff for about an hour because as a chiropractor, he wants to do not just chiropractic adjustment. He wants to treat a broader spectrum.
Oh.
He wants to talk about blood chemistry. So I'm going to actually do some work with him. I might even help with his open house. But the point is, when we were done, I was walking to our cars, where our cars were close to each other. Mm-hmm. And there was trash on the ground. So I walked backwards, and he's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah. And I just picked up this piece of trash and walked it to the trash can.
Could you imagine if everyone did that?
But that we can do this.
Yeah.
All of us can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. If you see it, pick it up.
Because most people are like, F that. I didn't put that.
Yeah, that's exactly their mentality.
It's like, F that.
But if you all did that and everyone did it, it would be beautiful.
You wouldn't need to pay somebody to go do it.
Yeah.
And so I do that all the time. If there's a scrap of a piece of paper here on Phillips Island, everyone who visits knows to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's just throw it away.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
But that's why we keep this place kind of clean. Like, there's not any scraps of paper blowing around. Even if it blows over from the neighbor, I don't say to my neighbor, hey, come get your piece of paper from my property. I just pick it up and throw it away.
Yes, and he'll do the same for you.
And he'll do the same.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have stuff blowing from me.
Right, yes. It's not quite as busy as here.
Yeah, we don't have stuff blowing onto his property. But the point is, to what degree do we need somebody to tell us to not litter?
Yeah.
Or can we just be
Can we just be rational here?
I don't, because here's the trade-off. If you pay for somebody to pick up that piece of paper, then somebody's got to govern that person and manage that person. And
it's a way of creating jobs, though. That will be the argument.
Well, the argument's that, but it's a false argument, because how do you create a job?
Create a need. You create a need, and then you create a job to fulfill that need. It's picking up trash. But if everyone did that job, you wouldn't need that, but they'd have to do something else.
So how do you create a need? There's either a need or there's not a need.
You create a problem. The problem is, though, not everyone picking up like you do. Ray does that when he takes his boat out. If he sees a floating bottle or something, he'll just go over and pick it out.
He'll be going someplace, and I've seen him just veer off.
Yeah.
And he'll circle back and pick something out of the water.
But we're not living with people that will all do that. They'll throw some trash out the window. And think, someone else will do it on the town.
I have to tell you this quick story real quick. I had just moved to Central Florida, and there was this person in the Publix, the supermarket parking lot, and windows down, little radio going, no problem, right? And I see the driver door open, and then he takes his like fast food trash, like the bag of like the cup and the trash, just his fast food trash, sets it on the ground and closes his door. Now all of his windows are open, and I was going into the store, and I went.
Did you go up to him?
I picked up his trash.
Oh, and did he see you?
I was in his face.
Right. Holy shit.
I walked up to the driver door's window. I put his trash right on his lap, and I said, "You dropped this." And I dropped it on his lap.
Wow, that's hyper aggressive.
Oh no, this is what a warrior does.
Yes, it's a warrior. It's highly aggressive, but passive in your doing.
It's not passive.
Well, it's not passive. That's why I'm saying it's aggressive. But you haven't got. But you give him the out. You're saying, "I think you dropped this."
I think you dropped this.
Yes.
And you know what he said? Because I literally.
What did he say? No, I put it there deliberately.
No, he said thank you.
Oh.
In other words, I've been had.
Yes. See, he handled it with grace.
I did. I guess. But I saw him.
No
I
one
literally
would
saw
do
him
that.
put it on the ground and close his door.
I think you dropped this. I think that's so cool.
I think you dropped this.
What a badass, darling.
But I'm saying that boy.
Now he would have driven away, wouldn't he? And then someone would have driven in, and it would have smushed everywhere.
It would smash it down, and then there'd be like flies on the remainder of it.
But that's okay. I'm fine with the flies, and I'm fine if there's French fries in it, because then the birds come down and they eat it.
God help the birds, man. They're going to have cardiac issues. A bird's little heart attack bird from the French fries.
It's the American way.
So, well, this is all good. I do want to double back to this idea of governance.
Yeah.
Because the question is, can we govern ourselves, or do we need a governor or governess? And if so, how do we limit, like where do we find the balance between how much power we the people have and how much power is given to somebody that says, oh, well, we need roads. We need snow removed from the roads. Right? Because there's that group of people that says, without the government, who's going to take care of the roads?
Well, turn it into the private sector and have people do that. It doesn't have to be a government. It's not a national job, is it? It doesn't have to be the government.
I mean, we have a private road. This is a private neighborhood.
And you should all club together and get yourself a snow plow, then you'll be able to do your own road. Right. And take it
and
in
that's what we do here. And we can prorate it. It's like if you're at the end of the road, you use the whole road all the time, so you can use a higher percentage of the maintenance. But if you're at the beginning of the road, the rest of it you never use.
Yes, I agree. That's good.
There's
like
creative ways to do this. Yeah. So this is a private road, so we're having those conversations.
But you have to have a lot of reasonable people living together, and they all have to agree on what's right and ethical. Once you've done that, it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, it is, and that's a big problem. Is this, because people have been dumbed down in our school systems. They don't think logically. They have all these logical fallacies. They don't understand. Like, people don't even know where their food comes from.
No.
They don't know
Publix.
Well, this is meat. It comes from.
You wouldn't want to know.
It comes from the meat factory.
You wouldn't want to see a load of hens being battery farmed. You wouldn't want to see it. You wouldn't want to hear the squawking. You wouldn't want to see the condition. So I think a lot of people don't want to know the history of much because they'd be appalled and ashamed if they did.
Yeah, I think you're
My
right.
brother, he was a telephone man, so he put the wires in for British Telecom back when it was wires in the 80s, and he had to go to the abattoir in Brighton. And he went in, he was probably about 19, and there were just gullies of what he could hear it coming in, and it was blood, just gullies of blood, and all these cattle were upside down, and then they'd slit the throats, and they were still crying and still moving, and he said it was the most hideous experience, but that was what he saw. Most people aren't going to see what happens to a cow.
Well, and so since we're not going to be talking about governance, we're just saying what if right now. What if we actually had a free market? What if we had a really truly free market? Because right now you can actually make biofuels from algae. We live right here at the Gulf. There's
biofuel.
The ocean.
What's a biofuel?
Biofuel is
like lighter fluid.
Well, it's oils.
Like a kerosene.
Like you can burn it. Like kerosene.
Okay, yeah.
You can burn it. It comes right.
And it comes from what?
There's a process. You can take like algae,
Algae.
You can make
Which we're in the swamp here. There's plenty of bloody
right.
algae.
Well, I mean, they do it with ethanol. Like you can get ethanol from corn, right?
Yes.
So it's an alcohol that you can burn.
Yeah.
And then they take the petroleum and in order to subsidize, see, let's just look at it this way. You know, we burn gasoline for our car, right? Mm-hmm. But where does the gasoline come from? Well, this limited supply, this so-called, fossil fuel.
The planet's gut, the planet's blood, the planet's
limited,
life force. Yeah. That planet, we're just, it's like just extracting something that shouldn't be extracted. There's other ways of doing it.
Well, there are other ways, but let's just follow this through. You got to follow the money. So in order to, first of all, there's more oil in the ground than we'll ever need for the next 1,000 years. There's
right, so
much
we're
oil.
okay taking oil out ethically for you?
For me, there is, yeah.
You're okay with it?
Well, it's fine, yeah.
Okay.
But I also believe in the free market. Mm-hmm. So oil's okay, unencumbered by governance. Now, what happens is, at some point, if you have a truly free press, in other words, if I can express to a normal, rational person, if I'm explaining to Sarah Tirri, Sarah, this oil costs this much and it damages the air and it damages the soil and here's the byproducts from it. It actually there's a lot of damage. For the same price, I can do it from algae. And
algae grows really quickly.
All things are equal, and I don't have. There's no government.
It's so fucking
there's
sensible.
There's no government interference.
But why aren't these sensible ideas?
I just told you, there's no government interference. So the government has these subsidies, and they say, well, we need to subsidize the farmers that grow corn because there's patents with this specific type of corn, and then the corn, they have to protect the corn, so we have to spray it with these chemicals and fertilizers. We need to protect those industries because there's profits associated with those industries, so we have to shore those up. Those industries are so important. They're so important, right? Yeah. But the free market, you and I have not had a free market in our lives because the government takes money from us and props up the banks.
What they're choosing to.
Well, and the banks are good.
It was interesting. Bill Maher did a show, it's quite a while, about 2 years ago, about growing almonds in California and how much water they need. And I don't remember the numbers in terms of water, but it was a massive fucking amount of water. And you're growing them in a very arid environment. What the fuck are you growing almonds for in an arid environment? You should be doing that in Florida where there's a lot of water. It just didn't make sense. But that is the almond industry in America. It's nuts.
So what I'm saying is, if we get the government out of the way, what we're going to see is good ideas that find the need. Because entrepreneurs, I had a great meeting last week with all my entrepreneur group. We had like a bunch of people here. All entrepreneurs do is they identify a need and a resource, and they put them together.
Yeah, find a need and a problem.
Find a need,
resource problem.
Now
need. Yeah, need resource problem. You've got to find the resources. You've got to have
But the problem is, a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of good ideas out there. The government gets in the way. Like, here's an example. It's 1776. We have a Constitution for the United States, right? Mm-hmm. It's written on hemp paper.
Yeah.
Hemp paper.
That's cannabis.
What a great idea, hemp paper. Yeah. So you mean I don't need to go chop down all these forests?
Yes,
I don't need to destroy all of our forests for a stupid for toilet paper or for hemp paper. I can actually have papyrus paper. I can have different types of paper. It doesn't have to come from the Hearst family tearing down our trees.
We don't really need paper much anymore anyway.
But
most of it we do.
We can use paper for cardboard. The shipping containers and things.
Oh, that's right. Amazon needs a lot of paper.
But my thing is, did you know that here in Florida, there's certain types of industrial hemp that has a 90-day growing cycle?
Really? Before
I can grow it.
I can have three
or four harvests per year.
You need some hemp seeds.
But this is industrial hemp, and you're looking for the fiber. That fiber, the tensile strength on the fiber, is as strong as any material out there.
Could it stop an aircraft carrier?
If you
bound it,
probably could. Well, think about it. The ships the ships 300 years ago, they used hemp rope. The rope was made from hemp. It was woven strands of hemp. That's how strong this stuff was. It was holding the boats.
I remember writing in Is This the Best God Could Do? And it's a long time since I wrote it, but I referred to this spider, and I can't remember the name of it, but it secreted something that was so strong and could be used, this spider, and they were kind of milking it. But it was, so it's all out there in nature, and we don't want to damage the planet, and we want to make uses of resource. We don't want a government blocking us, telling us what to do. And then here, for example, so you could grow hemp here.
Oh, easily.
Where is its origin in the world? Where's it most grown?
Hemp is beautiful. It'll grow
Just
anywhere.
grow anywhere.
It'll pretty much grow anywhere in North America.
So we need
the question is what?
And how do you manufacture it?
How many cycles can you do? The cool thing
Well, it's
about
30. I mean, 3 months though. That's so fast.
Oh yeah, and it's beautiful. Hemp is going. I hope in the next 24 months we're back to growing industrial hemp.
Nice.
I'd like no restriction on any hemp whatsoever. But there's so many use cases. Look this up. Henry Ford built a vehicle. The entire vehicle was made from hemp. You can look it up. But
holy moly!
But the world, the people who control the flow of information don't want you to know about that.
Because they want you buying whatever they want you to buy.
Because there's no plastic in hemp. If you make cars out of hemp, or if you make materials out of
everything,
hemp,
basically,
carpets and stuff,
everything.
There's so many industries that are reliant on plastics that they'll be out of business.
Yeah.
Well, screw them.
Screw them. Yeah. The planet is offering us this, and we're going to make the most of it, and we're going to. So the planet is gifting this to us.
We've seen this massive United States government tell us back in like 2008, right? There's banks are too big to fail. There's companies that are too big to fail. If you have if you have a government telling you that there's a private business that's too big to fail, you've already failed. You've already surrendered, because there's no company. If they're so big, then they should have the capability of not failing. They need to be competitive. If they're not competitive in the marketplace, and Sarah's bank, if you're this little mom and pop bank and you can do things bigger, faster, stronger, and more efficiently than the big bank, then you deserve to have more of the market. And if the big banks have to fail and Sarah says, holy Lord, I need to open up more branches because what I'm doing is so efficient and so effective, then that bank needs to fail, then so be it, big bank. See you later. But the regulators, which we're seeing this go away. This is what's so fun about the world around us right now. The regulators are going away. We're putting a dagger in the heart of the central banking system, and we're pushing the resources down to we the people. And it's exciting to watch if you know what to watch for.
It sounds exciting.
Well,
yeah. There's no flaws in what you're saying. It all sounds like a good idea.
Well, the banking system, like there's a cryptocurrency called XRP, which is Ripple. They call it Ripple, but Ripple XRP tried this years ago with the previous president, and they got shut down. The SEC says, no, you can't do it. Well, this is a more efficient way of doing business. No, you can't do it. Well, excuse me, but cryptocurrency is going to make your business more efficient. If Tia Jolie is if I was in Central Africa and I said, Sarah, I can't explain it to you, but I need $5,000, I'll pay you when I get back. And you said, okay, dear, and you pull out your cell phone and send it, I would get it like a week later.
Yeah.
It's got to go to this ledger, this ledger, this
no,
ledger.
You need it instantly.
But I need it now. And so with the new technology, with these new technologies, I would text you a telegram. I'd telegram you, hey, girl, would you send me a couple grand? Boom. 5 seconds later, I've got it. In the middle of Africa or South America, whatever. Yeah. This is the way banking should be. It should be, I'm sending you money.
And it's going to be. It's not like perhaps there was anything wrong with it. It's just we hadn't matured technologically wise where we can all hook up like this. So it's now time, isn't it? It's now time.
Well, Ripple solved that problem years ago. Ripple basically said cross-border payments. They literally said cross-border payments are not an issue. But the bankers have this system it's called SWIFT. The Swift, which is anything but Swift. It's a complete control gambit. But the Swift, it was a dagger at the heart of Swift.
Right. Well,
So-
sorry about that.
So Swift,
Yeah.
with all their money, went to the regulators and said, we can't have this happening. We're out of business if they do this. All the world's banks are out of business if that happens. So they put lawsuits against Ripple.
God. But you should be out of business if there's a more efficient way of doing things. But you remember Blockbuster? We used to go and rent our videos.
Yes.
There was one up by the Citrus Town. You'd have your videos, you'd go in. I mean, it's just obsolete. But no grieving about it. We don't need it anymore. And so the progress means you are going to dispense with a lot of inefficiency.
Well, back when I flew for JetBlue, there was this other captain. I'd see him in the flight room sometimes. So we're, captains, we talk. It's like, what are you investing in? And, it's just captain talk.
Yeah.
And he was really, really, really big on this streaming service for videos that was going to replace Blockbuster.
But he banked.
So what do you think that streaming service was called?
But he would have, if he'd invested in that, he would have banked.
Well, he did bank it.
Yeah.
He did bank
Yeah,
it.
because that's the new thing.
And so, but that's where we are now.
Yeah.
You need to leave the technologies, give the entrepreneurs the technologies. Don't stick a dagger in them and say no. So that's what's happening right now. We're entering America's golden years.
I love hearing that.
Silver and gold are sisters, right? Silver just hit $37 yesterday, which is like, it hasn't been there for a long, long time. And it's still got volume behind it. Gold's leveled off a little bit, so I'm moving my gold assets to silver. I think silver's going to run more, but then it's going to be moving to the exchange traded funds, the ETFs, because now we have Ripple ETF that was approved this week.
I mean, it's like you're speaking a foreign language.
Yeah,
to me
so
at this point.
an
I don't know what
ETF
ETF is.
An ETF is like a mutual fund. For a layman, it's like a mutual fund, but there's underlying assets. In this case, it would be the Ripple cryptocurrency. So most people, until now, if you have a 401k or an SEP or an IRA, you could not participate in cryptocurrency exchange. You couldn't do it because you have to take your money out of the protected
give notice
asset.
And
you have to take it out and transfer it and buy this and
wait.
There's like a whole chain of events. You'd have to put the money in your crypto wallet and then go to an exchange and buy there's like a whole bunch of moving parts. And some of us did it. And some of us did really well with it, but it was really a lot of work.
A lot of work, yeah.
So now these institutional investments, these investors, like there's billions of dollars of, like these baby boomers have trillions of dollars of assets that are in their 401k, their SEP, their IRAs, and they can't really do anything about it unless the SEC says you can do something about it. So now the SEC just told us, yes, we're going to see these cryptocurrency products that are called ETFs, which is exchange traded funds, or I think in Europe it's called ETPs, exchange traded products. But either way, it's the same thing. It means you can take real money in your retirement account and
move it here,
move it over here, and that
instantly.
You're not actually getting the fund itself owns the asset, the crypto, so you don't have to do it, but you're participating in the activity of the fund by doing so. I've made a lot of progress.
You've got to talk to Charlie. We're going to have to schedule to come on and talk specifically about that because you and he would just be
like
having
Grayscale,
very specific.
Grayscale is a whole family of funds. People talk about Fidelity, right? Oh, the Fidelity mutual funds, right? You've heard of Fidelity.
This is just stuff that I'm not. I don't know about this.
Yeah, that's me talking about Arthur.
I mean, I'm gonna sell my gold and buy a Cadillac Escalade.
Right. Well, wait, no, convert it. Right now, if I had extra gold, I'd convert it to stackable silver. Let the silver run.
I'd convert it to a new car.
Well, your car's beautiful.
Well, no, I got to chop it in because it's got nearly 100,000 miles. So I'm going to get another one. Yeah.
So my point is that I'm super excited about where we're going. I think we're going to see a new America.
And this is all part of the golden age that's coming then. And this is all just technology. It's unbelievable.
And that's the technology. We talked about the technology. We talked about governance. But really, we're seeing a restoration of power to the people. Last week, I don't know if you watched what DeSantis did. He just recently said for those of you who don't know, DeSantis, he's the governor of Florida.
Yeah. I like him.
He basically, yeah.
Cogent.
You know what?
Got some
people don't know about him. He was one of the key people. Decade ago, there was one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus. Nobody even knows what the Freedom Caucus is, but essentially the Freedom Caucus was what the 1776 Sam Adams Patriots were. They were the people saying, look, we've diverged away from what America is.
Right.
America's about Sarah Tirri.
I didn't like his stand.
Sarah.
I didn't like his stand on women's reproductive freedom, though. Couldn't stand that.
Well,
so he's good in some ways, but that's absolutely terrible.
And that actually goes against we the people.
Yes.
So that's why I say governance. To what degree does the governor of
have
Florida
no say in what I can do?
Have what?
Nothing.
You
have no say.
If somebody wanted to have 5 spouses, which is crazy, but what if they wanted to? Like, one spouse is good enough. Like,
Oh my God, 5.
Can you imagine 5?
Christ.
It's like this, like practice bleeding.
Christ.
But, no disrespect to spouses, but come on.
Oh God.
If your relationship's important, then focus on it. You don't need 5 spouses.
You'd have to have very superficial, spread out relationships, wouldn't you? Anyway, let's not.
Or you get tired
But
of one.
you should be able to do what you want with your life and body, and there's nobody telling you yes or no onto any type of moral ground.
Exactly, and that's why people need to understand that the Constitution, the original Constitution, it did not limit individuals.
It didn't limit our freedoms to do what we wanted. No,
it was an affirmation of our personal freedoms,
liberty,
and it was a limitation of the government. Like, for instance, weapons. I know everyone gets all upset about weapons. It's very clear in the Second Amendment: the government shall not infringe upon my ability to defend myself and carry a weapon. Right? It literally says shall. Not infringe.
Yeah, end of story.
It doesn't say take it to Congress and vote or send it to the freaking court system. No. Shut up. Go away. And people say, well, why do you need so much weaponry? It doesn't have to do with my neighbor.
It's none of your business.
It's not for my neighbor. It's for an out-of-control government when it comes.
Needs militia.
Yeah,
get us going.
It's like when we need to rally and replace you, we're going to rally.
You and Tony to get together, you'd be doing very well.
It's like, so the weapon I have is no concern of yours.
Yeah.
In fact,
so you're going to have someone argue, what about the children that acquire weapons and they do their school shootings, right? You're going to have, so should the government make it more difficult for teenagers to pick, or anyone to buy a weapon?
Well, let's just do this. When you talk school shootings, let's hold that for another time. Let's
talk about that next time.
We'll talk about false flags.
Let's do that next time.
And who's behind a school shooting.
Okay.
Right?
Wow, we're going to do a deep dive into
if you want to. I mean, if you
I'm
want
quite
to go
happy
there.
to. But I'd like to talk about. So what you? Okay, we'll do that. Let's do that on the next show.
Because there's some dirtbags, just like 9/11. There's some dirtbags. If they want to control you, they're going to create this thing that happens, this monstrous, dastardly thing that happens.
So are you saying they're not real?
I mean, I'm going to say the events happened. Like 9/11 happened, right?
No, I'm talking about the school shootings predominantly.
They happened.
Yeah, they did happen.
But I'm going to challenge everyone listening to this.
So can a 19-year-old with a psychiatric disorder go into a gun store and buy a weapon?
Can he drive a car? There's more.
I think on a driving license, you have to declare whether you've got a psychiatric disorder.
Okay, so he lies. So what? So he lies.
Yeah.
Listen, there's more people killed by medicine.
So I see it in car accidents.
Hundreds of thousands of times more people killed by cars, by automobiles, by...
I think it's just when it's a school shooting and you've just got innocent children like the one that they had in Texas. What was it, Uvalde? This is...
Okay, but so let's talk about the schools then. Why aren't we training? I was over across the street at my friend, I won't say his name, but he's got indoor urban assault facilities. He trains the SWAT teams across the street. He trains the sheriffs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's all right there. I went and saw his new facility. This guy's amazing. And he has a 501c3 where he trains families how to defend themselves. He actually had the local school system, the directors and administrators in, and he says, look, I'll do it for free. I just want to teach students and teach teachers how to defend themselves.
But they'd have to have the gun
schools.
in the schools to be able to do that.
Well, this is my point. The schools are controlled by the central government. Why is that? Why do we need somebody in D.C. telling us here in Lake County, Florida, how to run our schools? Why do we need that? I promise you, if we had schools set up the way we should set them up.
And do you think that schools should be armed then? That you'd have a gun in a classroom? Because what's the point in knowing how to defend yourself unless it's with martial arts? Unless you have a gun in a school. That just sounds abhorrent.
I think there should be a gun in every class.
Unbelievable! I think that just sounds so abhorrent to have a gun.
Why wouldn't you have a? Well, there should be a gun.
Fuck, that's so Christ. That's a mind fuck to think you'd have to have a gun in a class.
But it'd be the professor or it'd be the teacher,
and then they'd have to be trained.
It could be the darn janitor. I don't care.
Yeah,
but here's the thing.
So weird
on this street, even if people don't like each other on this street, they respect each other because everybody on the street is armed to the eyeballs.
But any little psycho that's going to go in and shoot up children,
they'll shoot one.
It isn't. Yeah, and then they would be shot.
Look. I use this example, the Pulse. The Orlando Pulse shooting with the LGBTQ and everyone got shot up. Well, what an easy target. Everybody there was not armed. Nobody there was armed. I got to tell you that if I were there,
armed society.
If I were there, that guy would have got off one shot or one volley and he would have been down. There wouldn't have been a wipeout massacre.
Yeah. Joey would have been the same.
You just need one person to go up and take that person out. But if he's got the only weapon in the room.
So you'd advocate an armed society?
Every one of us. I think children should go through weapons training. Martial arts.
It's such a radical idea.
It doesn't even have to be. What's radical about it?
Radical for me because I haven't thought about it. I've not thought conceptually about arming an entire society.
I mean, if nothing else, teach them weapons safety. What if every child learned about weapons safety? I mean, we don't even teach our kids about food safety. We don't teach them jack about jack.
I put my kids through Tong Sudo when they were younger, and that was basically, I love the sensei, their sensei Bill, and it was basically street fighting, and it was how to get someone in an armbar, how to get someone in a chokehold, how to throw them, and I was glad that my kids did have some way of defending themselves, and it was necessary a couple of times in school, but I haven't really thought about just everyone now. What you're saying is everyone's armed, and then everyone, as a result of everyone being armed, no one will get away with anything, because the moment they try it, they'll be shot.
Well, they might get away with
one.
They're getting the first shot off.
Yeah, so it's going to limit, you're seeing it as limiting the harm that guns do by being armed.
I can show you a video that, I got tons of these videos. This person that was trying to steal a child from a mother. And the mother is, no. And the baby's, the child, the little toddler is being stolen, right? And she couldn't do anything about it. The man was bigger, stronger. He was taking this baby away from the mother, just stealing the baby. And a bystander behind the mother just went, pop, pop, pop. And that guy is down on the ground.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Did a headshot?
Well, it wasn't a headshot. It was torso.
Oh, okay.
He was down, writhing on the ground, and the mother grabbed the baby and ran away. So this is...
Yeah. Oh, God,
Look, I mean, but I'm just here to tell you...
If that was my kid, I'd be happy about it.
In Central Florida, where we live in Lake County, if somebody were to do something like that, try to take a kid, they would not even get to their car.
Yeah.
Somebody would...
I mean, if you went to my husband packs everywhere he goes, everywhere. He doesn't go anywhere without a gun. And then loads of people, if you're in the movie theatre in public, so everyone's packing. Everyone living on my road packs.
I wasn't around, I don't think I was around, but the admiral, after World War II, there was a Japanese admiral that said, is supposedly quoted to say that invading North America is impossible because... There's a weapon behind every blade. There's a weapon behind every blade of grass.
Yeah.
And I kind of believe
God bless America.
God bless. Well, but when you look at Alberta, like when you look at Calgary, Alberta, British Columbia, up in Canada, all of Western Canada is starting to align with these ideas that, look, we don't need the central government. All you're doing is taking from us. You're stealing our stuff. You're taking our money. You're treating us like slave labor. You're taking the fruits of our labor, and then you're trying to take our weapons away. You're taking away our ability to provide for our families. What do we even need you for?
Yeah.
And that's what this whole riff is up.
Yeah, I mean, we might have needed you to get to this point, but we don't anymore. This is unfair. And we don't want to be told what to do, and we want a more equal distribution of resources.
And that's why this, the Alberta, when you listen to what they're saying, it literally sounds like 1776 America. And what we're seeing is a restructuring of power. So the largest country in the world in terms of land mass was actually the British Commonwealth.
Oh, yeah.
If you really think about it, the British Commonwealth,
Australia, Canada,
all of these areas that are under the crown rule.
The sun never set on the British Empire.
Right, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's a problem. That's a problem. If I was like on some small island and they're
we started this conversation about Jenya's raves and that the land is owned by the bloody monarchy. Now start sharing it.
But by whose authority does the monarchy?
Theirs, I know. It's so audacious. Who gave you that power?
It's the bloodline. Okay,
and
let's
the money.
go back.
And then all the serfs just run around and oh my God.
So there's got to be a better way. So you got to get going.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Do you have any plans for the weekend?
Well, it's my mother-in-law's birthday on Saturday, so we're taking her out to dinner.
Oh,
and I'm going to do a couple of fireworks at home and, just celebrate what it means to be an American. I love it here. I've lived here now since 92.
America's a better place with Sarah here.
Oh, that's nice,
just
darling. That's very sweet.
It was Britain's loss. You know?
Yeah, well, they had their
we're
day.
Keeping our coffee,
Give it up. Well, we are.
Our coffee,
I just see America as being an extension of Britain.
No, actually, America's all of the things that Britain could be if they exerted their authority.
If they hadn't been unreasonable.
If we the people in Britain would have stood up. Mm-hmm. If we the people of Britain, because they're standing up now, that's what Brexit was. Mm-hmm. Brexit was freaking enough. We're not doing this garbage anymore. That's what Brexit was. And the EU's going, oh, but we need you. It's like, it's a bad relationship. We have one party taking, and never giving, or they give you a little penny back.
Yeah.
They take $1 and give you a penny back.
It's outrageous.
It's like, this is
People
stupid.
have just had enough of it.
So that's what
welcome to the golden age. It's like a revolution is underway.
It's a revolution underway. So anyway, I'm going to send you our transcript.
All right,
y'all
darling,
have a great, make it a safe.
Absolutely.
This is going
happy times.
I can't wait for next year to have our episode, our July 4th episode next year.
Oh, really?
And let's talk about this.
All right.
We'll go back and listen to this. And
okay,
say,
there we go.
Hey,
we'll do this, and then that's a great way. We'll publish it like
Let's
that.
talk that. So, hey, I'm going to take this also not only as the weekly episode, but also as a special because I think it's
good.
I think it's a very special conversation that we have. Yeah. Related to freedoms.
To freedom. To personal liberty.
I'm going to toast.
Yeah.
Here's my lemon.
Here's to personal liberty and freedom for all.
Here's my lime water.
This is apple juice. Happy 4th, everyone.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.